Form 1 Science, second midterm, Chapter 3 Food Chains. Objectives of this chapter: to know how food chain can be used to represent feeding relationships in a habitat, to know that food chains begin with the plant or the producer, to understand the terms producer, consumer, predator and prey, and to explore how to construct food chains in a particular habitat. What is a food chain? Do you know? Yes, it is used to represent feeding relationships in an ecosystem. Look at this. Okay, this is the food chain of an owl. You can see that plant, insect, mouse, owl. And you can see an arrow. This arrow shows is eaten by. For example, plant is eaten by an insect. Insect is eaten by a mouse. Mouse is eaten by an owl. So this food chain shows the energy transfer from one organism to another. Food chain usually consists of a producer and consumers. Other than that, there are decomposers. So we'll learn about these key terms in detail now. Producer. Who's the producer? Yes, producers can make their own food. They can produce their own food. So who are producers in an ecosystem? Yes, green plants, trees, shrubs. They are considered as producers. They can make their own food by using this green pigment. You can see in the video clip, these are chloroplasts. So plant leaves contain chloroplasts that can absorb sunlight. So let's discuss about that process now. Making food by plants. That process is known as photosynthesis. You can see that sunlight is needed for the photosynthesis. In addition to that, water and carbon dioxide. And earlier we discussed that the green pigment in green leaves, chloroplast, chlorophyll, absorb sunlight. Water absorbed by roots from the soil, and carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide in the atmosphere absorbed by the stomata. So they help to exchange gases. What are the gases exchanged by stomata? Yes, for the photosynthesis they use carbon dioxide, and also from the photosynthesis they produce oxygen other than food. So this oxygen also sent to outside by this stomata. Look at this word equation. Carbon dioxide plus water under the sunlight, and when the presence of chlorophyll, plants produce glucose, that means food, and oxygen. This is the process of photosynthesis. So plants able to make their own food by using this process, so they are known as producers. Now we know that plants produce sugar. So this sugar used to carry out life processes. Not all sugar made by the plant is used for that life processes. So there are excess sugar. So they convert this excess sugar into starch. This starch is considered as storage carbohydrate. How do they store those? Yes, they can store in seeds. They can store in fruits. They can store in leaves such as cabbages. And some starch stored in roots. Example, carrots. Ginger. Yes, this is an example for the starch stored in stems. Who are consumers? Consumers are animals, because unlike plants, they can't make their own food, so they have to depend on another organism. Look at this. Yes, a giraffe is eating a plant. A lizard is eating an ant. So you can see that giraffe depends on a plant material, but lizard depends on an animal. So consumer we can define like that. Consumers hunt, gather and store food because they can't make their own food. There are 3 types of consumers: herbivores, carnivores and omnivores. Let's discuss in detail now. Who are herbivores? Yes, you can see some pictures, images of herbivores. Yes, they are animals that eat plants only. You can see some examples: grasshoppers, rabbit, giraffe, deer. They are examples for herbivores. Carnivores. Carnivores means another type of consumers. You can see, but they eat meat. That means they are dependent on the other animals. Examples? Yes, you can see the tigers, lions, hawks, frog. Examples for carnivores. Omnivores. They are the animals who feed on both plant and animal materials. So examples: humans, bears, most popular examples. Predator and prey. This is another way of categorizing consumers. Look at that food chain: grass, grasshopper, bird. In this food chain, we can consider the bird as the predator because that bird is eating grasshoppers. So the prey is the grasshopper. We can define these 2 terms like this. Predator is an animal that captures and eats other animals. Prey is the animal that is captured and eaten by another animal. Let's repeat again. Predator is an animal that captures the other animal. Prey is the animal that is captured by another animal. So you can find some more examples for predators and prey. Who are decomposers? They are very important in food chains, food cycles and food webs. Then decomposers are the microorganisms which are able to break down dead bodies into smaller parts. Decomposers return the nutrients that are in living things to the soil. So they are helping to recycle the elements available in the organisms. Examples: bacteria, fungi. They are best decomposers in the environment. Look at this food chain. You can get the summary you learn up to now, and also there's another one more thing I want to tell you. See that producer is the grass. So grass is using the energy from sun to make food. Then grasshopper the primary consumer, is eating the producer or the grass. So grasshopper is a herbivore. Frog, secondary consumer. Grasshopper is eaten by a frog. So frog is a carnivorous animal. Then snake, tertiary consumer. The third consumer we call as tertiary consumer. If it is continue, that means now hawk also available in this food chain. So the hawk is the final consumer or the top carnivore in the food chain. If they die, you can see that decomposers decompose the dead material into simpler substances. In addition to food chain to represent feeding relationships, we can use pyramids. So ecological pyramids can represent the number of organisms or the amount of energy available or the amount of biomass. Look at this pyramid. Yes, you can see that bottom line belongs to producer or the grasses. Next one, grasshopper, that means primary consumer. Frog is the secondary consumer. Snake is the tertiary consumer, and hawk is the final or top carnivore. So this is the way to represent feeding relationship in a food chain. What is a food web? Simply, a food web is a combination of two or more food chains. Look at this food web. Can you tell me some food chains in this food web? Yes, green plant, mouse, snake, kite. Another one. Green plant, goat, jackal, lion. Green plant, rabbit, wildcat, lion. Another one, green plant, mouse, rabbit, wildcat, lion. Yes, you can see that several food chains link together. Okay, look at this question. How many food chains can you make from this food web? Okay, you can take a paper and write down the food chains that you can identify. Shall we check your answer? Yes. Plant, mouse, snake, eagle. Am I correct? Second one. Another one. Plant, mouse, eagle. Plant, rabbit, eagle. Plant, rabbit, snake. Those are the food chains we can find from this food web. There are some more questions in your workbook, so you can complete activity 1 to 6 in the pages 35 to 48. You can watch these YouTube videos to get further details about the food chains and food webs. We are at the end of the lesson, so thank you very much.